Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby League, a show where two rugby league tragics talk everything rugby league on your way to and from work. I'm Shano.
And I'm the Chameleon.
Welcome aboard and on with the show. Griffo, Chameleon, great to have you with us on another episode of Carpool Rugby League. Listeners, thanks for being a part of it as well. Round 9 coming up. It's all shaping up to be... Some of the teams are raising their heads. Other teams are, maybe not as good as what we thought. Sorry, round 10 coming up. About to go through round 9. That was my bad. Talking about round 9, we might as well start it. On Friday night, the Cowboys beat the Bulldogs 28-12. We're going to have a quick chat about the Origin. Not for too long. We're doing a Thursday podcast, but yeah. So we'll go through the team. We'll go through that in a minute. We have the Dolphins 28 beat the Storm 10. Titans, they lost to the Raiders 28-12. The Warriors 36, far too strong for Parramatta Eels 14. Roosters 38, the Broncos 24. The Knights 42, South Sydney 38 in a massive scoring game there at McDonald Jones Stadium. Sharks had a second half from heaven. Tigers from hell, it was 52-10 for them. And then the Panthers 18-16 over the Seagulls. And what was a really entertaining game to round out. Entertaining for us. I don't know what you thought about it, Griff, but
it was a great game.
It was a great game. It was really good to watch. That sees the Panthers up on top. The Warriors on 14, Roosters on 14, South Sydney 12, Tigers 12, Cowboys 12. Seagulls 10, Sharks 10, that's the 8. Also on 10 outside the 8 are the Broncos and Knights, starting those with 8 points. Dolphins 11, Dogs 12, Raiders 13, Titans 14 on 6, Eels on 6, 15th, the Storm on 4, they're in 16th spot, and the Dragons, who... They got 2 points against the bye. But
they got 2 points.
Yeah, that's a bye, 2 points. So, Griffo, would be remiss of me not to ask, what was your grab for the week?
Well, it was a gentleman in a losing side, as it turned out. He's had the grab several times in his relatively short career. Fullback from the Melbourne Storm, Suafa'alongo.
Yep.
Early in the game when the Storm were looking pretty good. He went length of the field pretty much. Beat a number of players on the way and just too quick, too elusive. And that's what I thought was the outstanding moment for me last week.
Yep.
This sort of length of the field try is becoming more and more commonplace. And it wasn't something we really saw. You might see a couple a year, maybe, in the past. But it says a few things. But I think the biggest thing it says is that the athletes that are now playing in the NRL are as good, if not better, than what we've ever seen before. Might also say something about defence, but
I got a theory on it, Griff.
because it's not. I mean, there's a handful of guys now that some of them do it fairly regularly. KO Weeks comes to mind. He's done it several times over the last couple of seasons. You've got the Hammer, who's capable of it. Maybe doesn't produce it quite as much, but he scores from long range, but not necessarily length of the field. The current Manly fullback in Tolutau Kola is another guy who has that ability, and not just has the ability, but we've seen him do it. And they're great to watch.
Yeah,
great to watch. Yeah. But you've got a theory on why, Shane?
My theory is this. And I don't know why, because the interchange has changed somewhat. what you find is if you watch a kick chase from now on, right? And it's if you're at the game, you can see it more, but on TV it shows it. You'll notice that the kick will take place, and you'll have predominantly a winger, centre, one of the halves, and the lock will come in and jam in on the tackler. Behind them will be another wave of players, which is usually led by the hooker. And it's almost like, I watch American football, it's almost like there's now, and then there's the safety. The biggest problem it's done is Penrith execute it very well. And if you consciously watch Penrith do it, their first wave has a few more players. And the other team to do this well is the Roosters, and then they umbrella around the ball, the person who's got the ball. If the gap between the first wave and the second wave is slightly larger than it should be, it actually creates space for the fullback to run. And then what you've got players trying to plug holes, and once you've got players in a broken defense plugging holes, it's gone. It's over. You're never going to. And good oppositions, and I think that the Storm, although they were on later, they're still good opposition. The Warriors do this very well. Manly's tried the other week that Garrick scored was a perfect example of this. Very good teams will have two players wide, and so what they do is they get to this first wave and they pass wide, and the second wave's in the middle because it's ready for tackle 1, and then the forwards come through, and by about tackle 3, the way that this is coached is so the forwards can have a break in defence. So by tackle 3, that's the first real forward tackle. Because really, that's the first real forward hit up too, by the way. Yeah. So what you're finding is these waves are coming through. Like back when we were watching Rugby League, the guy would kick and there'd be one non-broken wave come down and tackle. To give the forwards a bit more of a break, and in some ways the hooker too, they do it in chunks. Tonight, watch the Dolphins, because they do a bit of this. Some teams have 2 waves and the third is the fullback. Others have 3 where they'll have one first group come through. What they do is they jam in on one side. So just say they jam in just say they jam in to the left, or they jam into the right. It'll mean that the opposition have to go that way, because they can't go against the grain because the players are there. So they'll go that way to get 10 metres, and that's when the second wave come in. They build the line, and then in some teams do it in 2s, others do it in 3. But by the third tackle, forwards are tackling forwards. That's for me. I think this is why we're starting to see, because when it's not executed properly, it's a dog's breakfast. There's gaps galore. A team that does it poorly at times is South Sydney. And against Canberra, it was exposed. KO Weeks is brilliant at exposing it, because what he can do, if he breaks the first tackle, the distance between the first wave and second wave is probably about 5 metres by now. That's enough space to find space again. And you watch, it's not that they break the tackle and there's no one in front of them. They'll break a tackle, they'll then get to another wave of players, break it again, and then they're through. And by that stage, it's the fullback on whoever's chasing. Teams who successfully execute it do exceptionally well because their forwards are doing less work, and they've got teams that do it well. It's quite a smart thing to do, but if you don't do it well, it's horrendous. Griffo, just want to get your thoughts on something. On Thursday, the New South Wales Women Blues won the game against the Maroons 11-6. A lot's been made in the media regarding the quality of the game. It's a massive scheduling issue, isn't it?
Well, I sent you a text at
Yeah, you
halftime,
did. Yep.
basically saying this is rubbish, and it was. I thought it was a very poor game. Guys on the TV are talking it up, and I guess
They had to.
I thought I don't know they have to. They don't want people switching off their TV set, but even they kept going after the game when doing the interviews, talking about what a great game it was. It was a rubbish game.
Yeah.
In the first half, New South Wales constantly dropped the ball.
Yes.
They did it less in the second half.
Yes.
Queensland didn't. They dropped a little bit in the first half, but then they aided New South Wales in the second half by constantly dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Now, we saw 2 tries other than right on full time. We'll talk about that in a sec. But both those tries were barge overs from the props.
Yes.
Now, that's how women's rugby league was maybe 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty boring to watch.
Yep.
You got some big hits, and there was some big hits the other night. But it was just who can sort of hold the ball long enough to get close to the line, and a big girl just powers over.
Yep.
So I was disappointed in the game. Obviously, the Blues winning, I was happy about that. But, I was almost ready to turn it off there, but I thought, no, I'll keep watching. And then, young Jesse Southwell pops over a drop goal, which you thought, oh, okay, that's handy, but there's still a bit of time to go. And then, for reasons that I will never, ever, ever understand,
yep.
with the ball in hand, with basically the last tackle, well, it turned out it was the last play of the game, but if they didn't pass, they might have had one more to hang on to the ball. Why they decided then to start passing the ball out,
yes,
and not in the 69 minutes beforehand.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. They started passing the ball, and it looked as though Robinson, the Queensland winger, was going to take an intercept, and they wouldn't have caught her. There was no one in front of her, and I would have started. I may have, if that happened, have uttered some words that I will not utter on tonight. But yes, they scored a try out of it, but I would have been really filthy after sitting through that rubbish game and then to throw it away. Oh, wow. I mean, yeah. I've seen Blues teams do it, both men in the past, yes, unfortunately.
We have seen.
And I think there's been the odd women's game where it looked like we had it wrapped up and all of a sudden Queensland score pretty much right on the bell and steal it. But that would have been the dumbest play ever if they had thrown an intercept there. But, as I said, they did score for it, but surely the coach says...
don't do that again.
It would have been the second last play of the game if we didn't score. It would have been the last play of the game if they scored. And all that. And look, I will say this. Both teams worked hard.
Yeah.
It's not an effort issue. Not an effort issue. It was an execution issue that they just couldn't execute. Now, a factor that you alluded to earlier was the scheduling. And everyone was talking about the scheduling, even people who thought it was a great game. It's ridiculous that these ladies have not put on a boot, unless some of them might have played in the All-Stars, which was a few months ago. They haven't played a game. They've talked about they've had internal games and whatnot. It's not the same.
No.
Like anyone really, and I looked at some social media, and some people were bagging it, and others were saying what a great game it was, and there was sort of some of them were taking it the angle, it's just because it's the women that you're bagging it. But my well, you can call it a spin if you want. I think if that was a men's game, everyone would have said what a low game it was. Yeah. Now, I don't care if it's men or women. You got to call a spade a spade.
Yep.
That was a dead set low game. I was going to say something else, but it was awful. I'm happy we won. Very happy we won.
Yep.
But it was hard watching. And if you are someone who's not a sort of rusted on rugby league supporter, and you put that on, and apparently there was something like 1 million viewers or something. It wasn't on Fox. It was only on Nine.
Nine, yeah.
So it was like one of their biggest rating games of the year. It was that a captive audience. But if you just switch that on, you think, what is this garbage? I can't watch this.
Yeah.
Again, I want to stress, I'm not bagging them for the effort. The effort was great from both teams. I'm not bagging them because it's the women's game. I love the women's game. We've talked about this game, women's game, for years, and talked about the progress that it had made since the days where it was pretty much most games like what we saw last week. Yeah, everyone's making an effort. Yeah, you get a good hit every now and then, but teams couldn't really catch/pass the ball properly. And then you'd get someone who was a bit bigger than the opposition would get close to the line and they just barge over, and that was how it was.
Yeah, I look. It's funny. Someone like a stat that I heard and it's true was that the errors outdid the score. And
yes, I looked at that.
It did.
There were more errors than points.
11-9. I think that for me, I was talking to a group of people and I said, looked like a trial game. And when you look at where they're at, it looked like a trial game. I think that you can talk it up all you want, but people who've been watching rugby league for a short time and a long time knows what a good rugby league game is, and they didn't really see one. And it's not fair when you consider at the end of this year we're going to watch a grand final, a women's grand final, and semi-final, and some rugby league matches that are going to be outstanding. And I think the fact they've thrown, it's almost now, and where I, as a football fan, and we've been talking the women's game up for years, where I'm a bit offended is that the NRL, or whoever it is, decides to throw the game here as a filler. And it's like, mate, under 19's New South Wales games are fillers now, not the women's state of origin. You've got to come up with a better plan, a better system, and I think that the NRL would be looking at that saying they got that totally wrong. I'm not too sure about this year, but I know last year Queensland had a pool of players, I forget how many, it's like 40 odd, and they were playing trial matches with each other for a couple of days to try and nut out a team. That's not good enough as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think that's what the Blues did as well this time around. I heard them say that they'd had a squad and they played internal.
This is where the NRL
games
need to be better, and if they're serious about this, they would be far better with the scheduling, and they like generating interest as a prequel. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's where the under 19s can come in now. The women's games come far too far. It's far too ahead. So,
it regressed. For me, start your season. Maybe have a month of football, 4 rounds, and then play your Origin. And you can do it either, play an Origin then have another round, play another round, whatever the case. But
Yeah.
you cannot have that rubbish dished up again.
No.
The second game will be better, and the third game will be even better still. But it won't be great compared to what we know those players are capable of.
Yeah.
And if the men did the same, you wouldn't get the quality either. If they started the men's off with the state of origin at the start of the season with no games, it'd be the same thing.
People would say
maybe not quite the scale it was.
People would say it would be insane.
It just makes no sense.
I think for the last couple of years I know last year definitely we gave a lot of airplay to the fact of what are they doing and they're the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And the part of me says the NRL was expecting a different result, and they didn't get one this time. Well, they probably did. They got a worse result than what they expected. So,
as much it was sort of irking me that they kept talking it up, because they're just lying.
Yeah,
it wasn't nobody who watches rugby league, and on a regular basis, is going to say that was a great game. It was a dog of a game.
It gave the keyboard warriors the ammunition that we shouldn't really be given those tools. So, yeah.
Anyway,
we've got footy tonight. So we're doing this on Thursday, people. So we're talking in terms of tonight. Thursday night football sees in Suncorp in Brisbane, the Redcliffe Dolphins taking on the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. We've got Marshall King and Cody Nikorima. They're back. For the Dogs, Jake Turpin, Kurt Mann, Marcelo Montoya, Matt Burton are out. So that is Sean O'Sullivan and Lockie Galvin. They're the halves for tonight's game. You got Jonathan Sewer on the wing, Bronson Cherry, Crichton, and Tuala is on the other wing. Cody Nikorima, he has come back into the 5'8" role, wearing number 18, and Marshall King is on an extended bench. So it's really, if the chips weren't down for the Dogs, losing someone like Matt Burton, that's massive for them. From the Dolphins, they're playing at home. I'd be looking for the hammer tonight to really step it up. Look for those gaps. Kick returns really positive, giving his forwards some help along the way. Jack Bostock has been playing some great footy. Herbie Farnworth, unsung hero in that team. Cody Nikorima, the team just looks like a bit far more settled team when he is there. It's going to be he's got to get his tackling plan right. I look at the Bulldogs and I just think it seems like every week you're crossing people out. I know Stephen Crichton's there, but Bronson Cherry, but I don't know. What this will tell Cameron Ciraldo is if the Bulldogs play a good match tonight and their halves fire, that really it's time to change the Burton-Galvin system. If Galvin doesn't step up tonight, it could be curtains for the Dogs. I'm picking the Dolphins, Griffo. Who have you got?
Oh, yeah, Dolphins. So I don't even consider the Bulldogs winning this game. They might win it. They surprised us 3 weeks ago when they beat the Panthers, but they're not going well. And it would be a massive surprise if they were to win this game. They're really getting a hammering now for the way they've been playing, and deservedly so, because they haven't been playing good.
No.
But you got to put this down to the way they're being coached and the selections they've made and not just the selections, but the policy they had, or not so much a policy, but the guys they got rid of and the guys they brought in to replace them. And I thought last week it really rammed home the mistakes they made. They got rid of Reed Marnie, and he killed him last week. I know he missed a tackle early on.
They'd kill for
might have been the Galvin,
They'd kill for a Reed Marnie in this team right now.
Well, I never thought Bailey Hayward was better than Reed Marnie. I still don't think Bailey Hayward's better than Reed Marnie. No. And we saw when they basically gave Marnie the arse during the season, and Sexton, they were, I think, on top of the ladder at that stage, and they dropped down the table and they went out in straight sets. And you've got to look at the coaching and the decision making above the coach to say, we want these guys in and we want to get rid of these guys that have got us to the top of the ladder.
Yeah.
Go figure.
They lose this week. They're 3-6. That's
and the first game they got a little bit lucky beating the Dragons.
Yes.
Over in Vegas by a field goal.
Yeah, that's a long way back.
Yeah,
and they've had a bye too.
They had. They're missing one of their key players in Kickow, and their attack is ordinary. Of course, again, another great decision they made was to bring in as their attacking coach the coach of the team that had the worst attack in 2025.
I don't know whose idea that was.
Well, you'd have to think it's Gus Gould. I mean, he's the man.
Well, you don't. Yeah, you suppose the buck stops with him. That for me is one of the most bewildering. That's like. I was trying to draw an analogy a while, and I was like, I can't do it. It's like Batman binning the Robin for the Joker. It's not. No, because the Joker's actually half decent at his job. It's like you acknowledge that your problem was attack. So you got the coach of the team with the worst attack in the competition to come and be your attacking coach.
No, it looks. I mean, at face value, it appears stupid. But it's not just face value. It's the look at the ladder.
There's data now that says it's not great. Fuck.
Something very funny, actually. It could have even been last weekend, but it was. I think they call those things memes. I'm not up on the technical term, but it said there's only one man who can save the Bulldogs, and they had a photo of Seabold with the Bulldogs jersey on. It was hilarious.
Why not? Just throw them in there.
Couldn't do any worse.
Hey, it'll be like Big Brother. Just throw them all in, and Gus Gould could be Big Brother. This is Big Brother. Run an attacking drill without dropping the ball. You could do it. Oh wow. You could put them all together and they'd be in a room and jeez. Anyway, the Doggies fans will talk about injuries, but I don't think so.
I think most Doggies fans won't. I think most of them will talk about what we've just said.
Yeah.
And the poor old weak got a dog. He cops a lot from Bulldogs fans because they don't believe that he is the best man to be playing 13 and to be getting the ball all the time. The evidence again would suggest that he's not.
Yeah, Yeah, I look at it and I go, surely there's got to be in your system a better option. Like, you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
build one. Like,
Well, Kurt Mann, I think he might be injured at the moment, but he's a better option.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or maybe play differently.
Yes.
Play differently.
Yes.
Get the halves to do what Salmon's trying to do. But anyway, look, Coach Serraldo was really good at Penrith, and he developed deservedly a great reputation. He had a mediocre year in his first year, but at the Dogs, but then he did bring out the best in the team, and they started to go forward. But they are going backwards at a rate of sort of what the wind's like today. Very, very rapid.
Yes, great rate of knots. Well, a team that's not going backward, and that's the Sydney Roosters. They're taking on the Gold Coast Titans at Polytech Stadium in Gosford. This will take place at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Friday night. Lindsay Collins and Mark Nawanta-Nikawase is out for the Roosters. That would bring in Cody Ramsey to the wing, along with Daniel Tupou, who's playing some fantastic football. It's got to be said.
Oh, yeah,
far out. Jeez.
It's not just a flash in the pan. He's been doing it.
He's been doing it for a long time. On the back of some brilliant rugby league from their halves, Daly Cherry Evans. He's just slotted into this team so well.
And he was really good last week.
Bringing Sam Walker into the game as well. Their forward pack their forward pack's rolling on very well. Their bench comes on and does the job that needs to have. That they just do their work. They do it so well. And Robert Toya, he's found his defensive mojo again. He for me is one of the best defensive centres in rugby league. They're playing a Gold Coast Titans team that's a bit up and down at times. They're going to look for things. They're going to look for Jaden Campbell and Zane Harrison to try and create something. AJ Brimson in the centres. You've got Keaney, fullback. He can do a few things. Khalees Haas, Big Tino. They've got... The problem is they're playing a team that's just stacked with very, very good rugby league players and who are playing some fantastic attacking football. Like, not only their defence good, their attack is brilliant. The Roosters are going to win this by a country mile, Griff. I dare say I'm writing down here you for the Roosters as well.
Yes. I will elaborate, but definitely Roosters all the way.
Yeah.
They were fantastic last week for much of the game. I think they led 30-0. And then the Broncos came back, as we know the Broncos can.
Yes.
And the Roosters looked pretty ordinary there for a while.
That was the...
I think the Broncos might have got within a converted try. I think there was 6 behind.
They got within...
I think it was 6.
4 or 6, and then that was the drop ball, Tony Staggs forearm.
It was the moment of madness from Staggs.
The knock-on was one thing. They've been defending well, the Broncos, and that Staggs.
It was just a brain explosion.
That was dumb.
And that was game over, really. I think they got a penalty goal to go 8 in front, and then I think they scored another try. So they got away from the Broncos again. But it looked like the Broncos were scoring almost at will there. So I am impressed by the Roosters overall, but their defense is still a bit of an issue. They were playing disciplined in the first half, and we saw what they can do, and then they lost their discipline in the second half. Radley got penalised, I don't know, many times, and with some agreement from me, he, there was a lot of talk that he didn't get binned. But there was 3 offences in
Yes.
rapid succession.
He was,
and he stayed on, and then he didn't get charged apparently. But I think he should have went to the bin earlier.
Yeah,
he didn't go at all. But when you are doing repeat offences like that, I think he expected to go to the bin.
I felt that the third there was the 3rd or 4th penalty he gave away. He looked at the ref, and you could see him look at the ref as if to say, and he turned as if to say, and he sort of did a double take. He went, I'm not being sent here. And I think he was looking for the ref to go, you gotta, surely this time I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, anyway. I think everyone thought that. I don't know how he stayed on, but obviously that impacted the result. But in saying that, they are in very good form, actually. The week before, I think, was when they pumped the Dragons on Anzac Day. They're up against a team that I actually changed my tips when I heard Ethan Strange was out.
Yep.
And, of course, that was proved to be stupid. I did change my tip when Strange was out last year against, I think it was the Sharks in the finals. And they did get beat that night, but they weren't playing the Gold Coast Titans. I find it hard to choose this team. I don't think they will win the Spoon because there is a Dragons team there that will be lucky to get points other than the 6 points from buys. And the Gold Coast have already beaten the Dragons. I don't know if they have another clash for the Spoon, but this is an ordinary team. They can attack, no doubt, but and they've got. Look, the Dragons would love to have the attacking flair, and the Bulldogs would love to have the attacking flair that this team's got, but they don't produce it consistently. They're going to get pumped by the Roosters. The coach is doing his best. Interesting that he brought in for the debut Zane Harrison, and I don't know if Pasco's played before, but they've changed their 2 of the most important numbers on the field, 9 and 7, are now young players into the team. Campbell goes to from half to 5'8". Ilias is out.
Yeah.
If Harrison plays well, then I think, unfortunately for Lachlan Ilias, I don't know who the reserve grade team is for these guys, but he'll be playing with them for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Verrills hasn't done what has been expected. I don't know anything about Pasco, but I do know that the Roosters win this game.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. It's hang on, silly me. I had it all ready to roll, and I've hit back, and now it's forward at 3:00 on Saturday. Wynn Stadium at Wollongong. We see the St George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Newcastle Knights. Clint Gutherson returns for fullback in the Dragons team.
I think we might have missed one or two there, Shane.
What's that? What have I done? Hang on.
You missed the Cowboys.
Cowboys! Sorry. That's what I did too. What's going on here? This bloody... I don't know. On my computer, this NRL webpage, it goes nuts. And it jumps around. So
Jump around.
It jumps around. It's so stupid. There it is. Cowboys Eels. Sorry. Jeez. Sorry, Cowboys fans and Eels fans. I was thinking, where's the 8:00 game? On Friday at 8:00, we've got Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. The Cowboys from North Queensland taking on the Parramatta Eels. Jeremiah Nanai is out for the Cowboys. Smith Penasini also out for the Eels. We do see the guy who made one of his greatest debuts, Nirvana. He's on the extended bench, probably won't get the time to play. Jordan Sanrami, he's made his way into the centre position and starting. It's up in
Pansini injured again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a battle, Pansini, over the last year or so with injury.
Yeah, I agree. Apatwindle, he's on the extended bench. So, look, it's these Cowboys up against a team that's struggling to find some sort of rhythm. When they find it in games, they can be electric. When the Eels don't have it, they can be absolutely poor. Drinkwater in at fullback has been playing some great football. Jackson Purdue, who will no doubt will go to fullback when Drinkwater goes, has also been playing some great football. For me, though, Tom Dearden is the guy that's just been leading them around, doing some really good things. When the Cowboys are clicking, he's always a part of it. It's a no-brainer that when you watch a play, it's Dearden or Drinkwater that's really orchestrating it. Reed Marnie's tightened up the middle a lot defensively, and that Ruben Cott has also helped with that. Lukey and JT doing good things. I think they're going to win this week. The Eels, for me, they're just too hot and cold, and they're more cold than hot, really. When they don't get it together, both in attack and defense, it can be absolutely horrendous. I think the Cowboys at home will want to win this, and I think they're going to want to win it well, Griff.
No doubt they're going to want to win it well, and I think probably they will. They've got a lot of guns to fire, the Cowboys. Most weeks this year, most rounds they have fired, but when it hasn't worked for them, they've been awful. So I'm still not 100% sold on the Cowboys, but I do expect them to win this game. Para, they are a team that has really struggled with injuries. The 17 they're rolling out is not their best 17. It's not a bad side on paper, but defensively they've really struggled. I think they're the worst defensive team in the league still. The Dragons have played one less game, so that probably is a factor there, but I can't see them winning. But they're the sort of team, and they've shown it a few times this year, where no one really expected them to win, and they've come up with the 2 points. I can't see the Eels winning this game, and even more unlikely, I think, is the top 8 for Parramatta. I thought they were going to challenge the 8 this year. On what I've seen, I think that's a little bit of a forlorn hope. I do expect the Cowboys to win, and it wouldn't surprise if they put a bit of a score on.
Yeah, I agree. This could get ugly. Another game that could get ugly on the weekend is the one I lose. I don't know why I would want to jump to this one. Anyway, 3 o'clock on Saturday at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong sees the St George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Newcastle Knights. Clint Gutherson is in for the Newcastle Knights. For the Dragons, Newcastle, they've got Kalen Ponga, they don't need him. For Newcastle, though, it's pretty much 1-17, 1-19. Sorry, looking at their team from last week. A few changes. Tyrell Sloan's on the interchange bench. Still be interesting to see there. Kyle Flanagan. I look at that interchange bench and something's got to give. Blake Larry, Kyle Flanagan, Tyrell Sloan. You can't. I don't know. Josh Kerr. I just don't know why you'd have. He's a prop. I know he's a prop, but I'm just looking at that bench going.
Well, they got 3 props there. They got Kerr,
that's what I'm saying.
They got Big Loco,
it's like
Junior Pacific Tonga, and then Blake Laurie. So 3 props on a 6 man bench.
3 pops, 3.
Probably one too many.
You would almost think Hame Saleh would have to get promoted for someone.
Well, he's a little bit more versatile.
Yeah.
But look, the reality is it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Like you could you could put Langlands, Gaznio, and everyone in between. It's really the Dragons. They've had a week off. The Knights last week won the game. The second highest points scored against them. South Sydney just dropped way too much ball, and they punished them. I thought Bradman Best actually came back and had a really good game. I know Marju scored 3 tries, but for me it was Bradman Best and Fletcher Sharp. They were instrumental in the attack, especially at the start of the game. The first 30 minutes, Fletcher Sharp really owned it. Kalen Ponga came into his own with the boot, but Bradman Best at times was very elusive, and yeah, I think that their forward pack and their bench actually came on and did well. They conceded a bucket load of points, but against a team which probably should have beaten them, and beaten them well, really, but dropped too much ball of their own. The Knights won't have that this week. I think the Knights will win this and win it well.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the Knights for turning around, and they had a number of losses in a row, but I think they brought in about 5 players last week, including Kalen Ponga, but not just him. Best, Marju, Lucas, and there was one, Tyson Frizzell, all came back from injury. So that was massive, and I actually tipped the Knights last week, based on the fact that I thought we would see them. They were really good at the start of the year when they had their best team on the park, and they got off to a massive lead. I saw up till about 8. Early in the game was 18-0, and then I got in the car and put on the radio, and I didn't know whether my radio was like a bit behind because they were talking about a Marju try, and I just only got in the car, and he must have scored 2 in 2 minutes or something. Yeah. And then I saw bits and pieces, and then I saw bits of Souths coming back, and then I was out at a venue, and I thought, no, I got to watch this game. This is really tight. Latrell, another brilliant game, continuing his magnificent form this year. But really, this Knights side, they can beat anybody if they can maintain their best team on the field, because they've got so much attack with the likes of Ponga, Fletcher Sharp, Dylan Brown, Bradman Best. They're quality players there. I think they're too good for the Dragons. It'll be interesting to see. The Dragons have had a week off just to lick their wounds and see what they can do. Dylan Egan I think he had an ACL. He's back for his first game. I think he may have played a game in Cup either last weekend or the weekend before. So he's not coming in without any game experience. So he's going to make a difference. It's actually the future of this club in the forwards is very healthy. But they need, and the addition of Drinkwater next year will make a massive difference. They'll have someone who who's got a bit of skill about him, who can set up tries and score tries. Yeah. Cade Reed playing his second game, be interesting to see how he goes. He did some good things against the Roosters. I think there might have been a try called back that he had a lot to do with early in the piece. It was the right call, but it was a little bit unfortunate. He got really excited, and then it was disallowed. But yeah, he sort of got targeted by the big Roosters forwards and struggled a bit in defence. No doubt the big Newcastle guys like Dylan Lucas, Trey Mooney, they're going to be looking for him. Dragons to lose here, and I think the Knights continue their climb back up the ladder.
Well, speaking about South Sydney playing them last week, South Sydney played next game, 5:30 p.m. at Accor Stadium in Sydney. We see the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. Some ins for South Sydney, but a massive out. Ashton Ward, Edward Cozy, Jai Gray, Latrell Sigwald, Liam LeBlanc, and Thomas Fletcher are all in for South Sydney. Jack Whiten out, Jamie Humphries out, and Latrell Mitchell is out this week. That sees a backline of Jai Gray back in the fullback role. Somewhat, I know he hasn't done anything wrong, but geez, coming back from injury and thrown straight in the fullback, with a fullback that's actually been doing very good. Jai Gray, Alex Johnson, Campbell Graham's back in the centres. Latrell Sigwald is in the other centre, and Edward Cozy is in on the wing. We've got Cody Walker and Ashton Ward at the halves. Keon is a starting bookend, which always looks good. Matt Duffy is in number 14. Adam Elliott's also, he kept his spot. He basically, second tackle hit up that knocked on with a couple of minutes to go after scoring a try. After South scored, killed them basically.
I think it was Aiken that dropped the ball.
Nah, Aiken. I know Elliott dropped one. Elliott dropped one as well.
I didn't see that. I know
because I know Elliott dropped one because I said it's like he's playing for the bloody Newcastle Knights again.
Right. That might have been a try before.
That might have been a try before.
I know the very last one, which South had hit the lead.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was in the set of 6 from the kickoff. I think it was.
It was second.
And it was Aiken who dropped the ball. Then Dylan Brown set up the try. I can't remember who scored it, but it was the winning try. And so you and Aiken, I'm surprised he's kept.
I'm with you. They dropped some ball. The Sharks, Will Kennedy, playing will look to be doing some good things in the fullback. He for me has been a bit rocks and diamonds this year. There's been times where I've looked at and gone, he's been playing some great football, and then times where I go, oh, I don't know, he zigged when he should have zagged. Braden Trindle and Nico Hines, they're going to be, if their forward pack, Fanua Blake Brayley, Rudolph, Cameron McInnes, Wilton, it's a great forward pack, and there's people on the bench who can do some great things too. Look to them to really fire. Look, the guy, he takes angry pills every game. I know it. Cody Walker, he's going to have to nullify that. He's the attitude of South.
It's a liability.
It's getting to the point where if Ashton Ward has a cracking game and Ashton Ward starts pushing this team around, is it Humphries that should be dropped for Ward, or I just think, look, Cody Walker did some great things last week, but geez, he can have some brain explosions. Iro, Hiroti, these are guys that can just get on the edges with Talakai in there. This is going to be an exceptionally tough game for South Sydney, considering the injuries and the shuffling that's taken place. I think Sigwald's and Cozy's side is going to get. Yeah, it's going to get more action than you know what. We have young listeners. So, look, you know why I'm picking the Rabbitohs, but geez, if I had to put my house on it, I would be probably going the other way. Griffo.
Well, fortunately, Shano, you don't have to put your house on it. No. So you've got a beautiful house. I would hate to see you lose that house.
I would lose it this week. I would lose it this week. I'd be pitching the tent. I'd be in the caravan, mate.
Yeah, but anyway, a beautiful house, as I said. So yeah, don't put it on the Rabbitohs.
Don't need to do that.
or all the Sharks actually. Just hang on to the house.
Just hang on to the
Now,
house.
That aside, I actually had tipped South Sydney until
Latrell,
Well, I didn't know. It was only when I opened my screen
that was
for us to do the podcast that I saw.
As a member, that was that was today. So that was like 5 o'clock today. That was a 5 o'clock today sort of injury update. And usually their injury updates don't come at 5 o'clock today. So it's like usually when you get an out of the blue injury update, you're like, oh, something big's going on. And Mitchell's out for a week. And I think...
what's the injury?
I didn't even read it. Do you want my take on it? He's played out.
It just says he's ruled out.
He's played out of his skin for 4 weeks.
Oh, back injury.
Yeah,
and faces up to 2 weeks.
You know what I think? This is what I think. The guy's played out of his skin for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think if South Sydney probably never thought they'd be in this position at the start of the year, where they are right now, you would think that if they could keep chugging away like they are, they're a top 8 team. You need to manage Latrell to be there at the back end. He's going to play Origin. Like he's been probably one of the standout players in the last month. I think that this is more about managing him than. Yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't have an injury. I'm sure he does, but there's a difference between having an injury and playing, and having an injury and wanting to manage your player for long term. I think this is more and more. Yeah. And I was waiting for this day to come. I'm not surprised. It's annoying, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, look, when you're thinking long term, that's always the best way to think.
Yeah.
Because short term would be to play him, and because even if he was playing, it's not quite a 50-50. I would have thought South would have been favourites, but I notice that the Sharks are pretty heavy favourites now. Yeah. And I would base that solely on the fact that Latrell is out. I'm talking Latrell Mitchell. Of course, he's got his namesake, who I don't know a whole lot about. This is his debut, I think, Sigwald?
It will be, yeah.
So, big shoes to fill.
Massive.
I'm going to stick with, even though the Sharks have been up and down this season, they were good last week against a weakened Tigers side, and I think against a weakened Rabbitohs side, they will again get the 2 points.
Yeah, he just to give you some background from what I know, he'd be in his mid-20s, there or thereabouts. Right. He's pretty tall dude, not big but tall, like probably 180, sort of in the 85 kilo sort of thing.
Right.
He's
hoping to play for France, it says, in the upcoming World Cup.
Right, okay. I know he had... I
thought it was an Indigenous guy.
Yes, he had standout...
Indigenous French. Okay.
Host Plus Cup with Queensland... In the Queensland competition, he was pretty good. He's a goal kicker, which may...
Well, that's handy, because Latrell Mitchell is out.
I think he was actually the Queensland Rugby-League Rookie of the Year. And I know 1 year, and I'm probably going back a couple of years now, he was the Koori Knockout Player of the Year. So he's
I'd heard that. Yeah.
I'd heard that. He's got a bit about him, but I'm not like I said. I've got to get onto this new platform where you can actually watch the New South Wales Cup and stuff. I haven't watched as much as I usually do. At 7:35 on Saturday sees the Seagulls take on the Brisbane Broncos. That's at 4 Pines Stadium. Jamal Fogarty is in for the Seagulls. He is named at number 7. Well, Katoni Stagg is definitely out. Adam Reynolds is out. Dean Marin is out. That's pretty big. A lot of that brings Thomas Duffy and Ezra Mam into the halves. Antonio Verhoeven is in the wing spot. So they've had a fair bit of change in their side, and Purnam is on an extended bench. Look, a 4 Pines Stadium. I look at Cooler, Saab, Garrick. They're playing some fantastic rugby league at the moment. I just think for me, you've got a team that's settled, playing good rugby league. You've got a team that really wish they had half the people that were out in, and one of them should have been there. It was his own stupidity, the reason not. The Seagulls forward pack has actually playing some really good footy. And I look at the Broncos forward pack, and Pat Carrigan just hasn't fired for me. I no hate to the guy, but nothing like we're used to. And I think the Seagulls bench. I've got the Seagulls winning this one. I've got them winning. I wouldn't be surprised they win it actually pretty comfortably in the end. I know that they can come back, and any team that's got Reece Walsh in it. But for me, when you take Adam Reynolds out of this side, their kicking game and their direction it just plummets. I've got the Seagulls winning.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I also believe that the Seagulls will win this game. I saw them firsthand last week. Came away from the game thinking, they stood toe to toe with the Panthers for 80 minutes. I didn't think they'd do that. I thought
could have won.
They would fade away. Yeah, absolutely, they could have won. It was a Garrick missed goal that was the difference. Both teams scored 3 tries. A lot of doubt on one of the Manly tries, it must be said.
That was not a try. Look.
Yeah, I think most people agree. But the two people that disagreed were the ones that counted.
You stopped a team's ability to slide in defence. That was actually a really poor decision.
Yeah. Not only that, but the pass went 2 meters forward. And they actually called some forward passes the other night. They just didn't call that one. But look, I as I said, I was really impressed with Manly. They took it to Penrith, and they were pretty much as good as the Panthers were on the night. Penrith made some errors. Manly were pretty good with their discipline, but they weren't good under the high ball. So Kohler had I think he's a fabulous player, Tolutau Kohler, but he put down a number of kicks. So I'm sure that Coach Maguire will be instructing his kickers to target Kohler. You mentioned the loss of Reynolds, and obviously his kicking game could have been crucial this weekend. But every time Reynolds doesn't play, Reece Walsh seems to take on more of a role. I won't say he plays better when Reynolds is not there, but he just seems to feel more of a responsibility that the game is in his hands. And I do expect we're going to see Walsh really take on the Eagles. Also, Mam, who's been very, very good in attack this year, Ezra. Credit where it's due. I think they are the two players that stand in front of a Seagulls expected victory. If Manly can play like they did last week, if they can put that sort of effort in, that will be enough to beat this weekend Broncos side. It was nearly enough to beat the Panthers. I won't say that, the Panthers this year are a much better side than the Broncos. what I would say is that the Panthers are a much better side than the 17 that are representing the Broncos this week, or the 19, I should say. But they're well down on strength, Brisbane, and I can't tip them. I wouldn't surprise me if they got up, but it would surprise me a little bit. But we saw two weekend Broncos sides beat the Tigers and pump the Bulldogs. So can they reproduce another unexpected victory? It's possible. But the probability is with Hamoli, with Kohler, Clayton Fa'alalo's a guy who's really impressed me. I thought he was very good against the Panthers. He was good the week before. But I'm going to tip the Manly Warringah Seagulls. I also want to say, not his debut last week, Joey Walsh, because he made his debut coming off the bench last year, but he was very, very good up against Nathan Cleary, playing his first starting role in the NRL. So a good problem to have when you've got to decide who am I going to leave out rather than who I'm going to put in. Manly.
Well, at 2 o'clock on Sunday, it sees the Melbourne Storm taking on the West Tigers on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the women out there who are mothers, aunties, sisters, whoever you are in your family. Happy Mother's Day. If you're a significant female, you deserve to be praised. Tyron Wishart is out. Jerome Hughes is back in, which is phenomenal when you think about. He looked like he was going to be out for a little while. For Adam Dewey, he's out. Tavana, Fainu, all out for the Tigers.
That's a massive loss.
It's massive.
Or two, actually. Dewey has been brilliant. And Samuel Fainu, I think he's a fabulous player.
I do too.
I thought he could have, gone into the Origin squad. Maybe not played, but he's out for like 3 months or something. That's awful for the Tigers.
Yeah. It means that Luai Madden are the halves. Hope is going to be playing hooker for another week. Pierce Paul's back. I think that inside shoulder is still a liability for them. Bunty Afa was on the bench. Look, when we look at the Melbourne Storm, we know the issues that they've had. Munster and Hughes, they're back together. Harry Grant with Fa'alongo at fullback. I look at the West Tigers and I just think they just don't have the guns this week to be able to do what they need to do. I think the Storm are going to get their win. I think they're going to break the drought. The West Tigers, they're losing the gun. You know, when you've got 5 guns or 6 guns to fire, and you can hold your own, that's great. When they start to dissipate, it'll be a massive week for Jerome Luai. If they can get up, then some people in this forward pack and in the back line has absolutely played out of their skin. I think the Melbourne Storm have got their win here, Griffo.
Shane, I have been tipping the Melbourne Storm pretty much every week, and obviously not good for my tipping. I am going to stick with them again, not because I have faith in them, because I've actually lost faith in them, but they are playing a severely weakened West Tigers team. With the loss of Appy's been out, I think this is last week of suspension. The fullback is out, who re-signed with them. Big thing for the Tigers. Jareen Buller extending his deal, I think an extra 3 years. So that's great for them, but it's not helping them at the moment that he's injured. I meant was Samuela Fainu out also. That's a massive loss there. Dewey has been their best player this year, and he's out. So really, they're decimated, and while they've got some decent guys plugging the holes, I don't think they're good enough to beat the Storm.
No.
Interesting for me is that the highly touted Macassini, who was great in the trial against the Panthers and pretty good early in the season. He had a bad game a couple of games ago, and he doesn't get a look in. I don't know if he's been injured as well, but I would have thought with the issues they've got with injuries that he could have at least found himself on the interchange bench. But he is not cited even on the extended bench, so maybe he is injured. But Melbourne, Jerome Hughes is a massive in. I'm not going to talk them up because they're being ordinary. They're being awful, actually. I just haven't seen Melbourne Storm teams just get dominated so consistently ever. And I mean in the club's history.
Yeah.
But I do think they've got enough there. They really have to win this game. They drop this one against the weakened Tigers, and I don't think they make the 8. I'm almost ready to call that they're not going to make the 8, but I'll just hold off. I will say if they lose this week, even though it's early in the year still, I don't think they make the 8 if they lose this one, but I do believe they start trying to make a climb this week.
The problem for the Storm is, okay, let's just say they lose. You need a run now. It's not chipping away. You need a run of a few games at a time, coming up to Origin as well, which may not.
Well, that's it. I mean, they are going to lose probably not as many players as they used to, but they're going to lose Monster and they're going to lose Harry Grant.
You think so?
And there might be one or two others, but there won't be many. But it's those two guys. You take, and Munster hasn't been in form. Grant's been okay, but he hasn't been as good as we know he can be. But if they were to be missing from the team as well, then you'd almost think the Dragons could beat them. I probably wouldn't tip the Dragons, but that's how bad it is. They're running second last, and it's a must-win game. A must-win.
Yeah, I agree. So, last game of the round, 4:05 on Sunday at GIS Stadium in Canberra sees the Canberra Raiders taking on the Penrith Panthers. For both sides, so some ins for Raiders: Ethan Strange, Hudson Young, Clydesdale's on an extended bench. Penrith look pretty much 1-19 as they normally do. I've got the Panthers winning this one, Griffo. Can you tell us why the Penrith Panthers will win this game?
I think it's going to be close. I do expect the Raiders to provide quite a resistance. They've got two massive ins in Hudson Young, who was suspended, and Strange missed a week through injury. If he only missed a week, he's not going to be at his best, Strange. But Hudson Young will come back fresh, and he's the biggest danger, along with his second-row partner in Simi Sasangi, who's been outstanding this year. I think the Raiders are still missing a few guys. They've got Jaden Brayley, who's a hooker, playing 13. I'm not quite sure why. Someone like Morgan Smithies wouldn't have that role, but Ricky Stewart's been around a long time. He knows rugby league. I do expect Penrith to win. I thought last week they were pretty good. They weren't at their best, but there were a lot of sort of half breaks that Manly were able to clean up, and to the credit of Manly, who defended quite well. I think if Penrith can turn those half breaks into full breaks, then I think they're going to worry the Raiders, whose defence is not always the best. They're a great attacking team, Canberra. They've got KO Sports at the back. He is a threat. So we talked about defence earlier. You talked about it. I'd be really disappointed if I saw KO Weeks score on a length of the field try. I don't expect Penrith to let that happen. The last time these two teams played was the Miracle in Moji, something that did not please me. I like my Miracles somewhat different. Like people getting their sight back or coming back from the dead. I like those sorts of miracles. Different Lazarus played for the Raiders at one stage. But as I said, I do think it's going to be a tough game. I don't think Penrith will win by a lot.
No.
But I think they've got enough attack. I like the way Cleary's been running the ball, much more so than in past years. Interestingly, they've got an in this week. Liam Henry will play his first game. The big signing for the Perth Bears next year. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Tango's been doing some good things off the bench. And I think that's his role in this team now. I can't see him getting back in the centres with McLean and Alamotti unless there's an injury. But he does provide, Isaac Tango, he does provide that ability to play in the back row as well as in the centres. So it's always good to have versatility. And he's done some good things actually in attack over the last few weeks. Panthers here, Shano.
Yeah. I would have thought as much, and that I've just got to write. I do actually write these down.
Okay.
Sorry. Panthers for both.
I think have we?
So we got Dolphins, Roosters. We agree on Cowboys, Knights. South Sydney. Seagulls, Storm, Panthers. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so just the one difference.
South is going to cost me a full round.
Well,
you never know.
They might actually get you the full round.
You never know. That brings out our games for this week. Griffo, any final thoughts or any closing remarks from you over this one?
Yeah. The other signing news that I think came through for the Tigers, the big news that the May brothers re-signed before Buller. So that's three big re-signings for the Tigers. There was the thought that Luai's move to the Chiefs might see a stream of Tigers following him.
Yeah.
That hasn't as yet happened. And I guess it was thought that perhaps the May brothers may have been the most likely, along with Taruva. No, well done, Tigers, in making those re-signings. It's a massive week in that the Origin teams will be selected after the Magic Round games, but essentially the teams would be selected after this game, and then to a large degree it's only going to be injury, you would think, that would have coaches Daly and Slater. I only ever think in terms of the Blues, but a lot of injuries to guys who were probably going to make the side, but also those on the fringe. So someone like a Mark Nwangani-Tawase, who probably was the favourite to be on the wing.
Yes.
Along with Brian Toto, he's out. Liam Martin who's been a mainstay for many years, I heard him speak this morning. He said he will not be available for game 1, but is expecting to be around come game 2 and 3. There are others. I think Latrell, from what I read, is not any danger of missing out on Origin.
He'll play Origin, and I think,
I'm glad South's arresting him in that case.
That's what it is for me. It's for me. I was waiting for this moment to happen. He's played out of his skin for a month. Last week, one of his tries was very physical. It was like,
that one that got him in front. Yeah,
it was like,
he didn't want everyone jumping on him because he was in a bit of pain.
I think that I just think that, I remember when the Panthers did it with Cleary, and it's not a sign of weakness. These guys play out of their skin week in, week out, and they get picked for all the Australian teams, all the news. They need a break, and
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
And I the club needs him there at the end of the year. You've got to be able to put in people who can fill the gap during the course of the competition, and if they can't fill the gap in the course of the competition, well, they're not NRL standard, and you'll be found wanting very quickly.
Well, I think next week we'll name our Blues. And
I reckon so. We'll see what the injuries and see what everything goes.
Well, that's it. Yeah, because no doubt there's going to be more injuries this weekend. And there'll be more injuries in Magic Round as well.
100%.
So it's just the nature of the brutal game that is the NRL.
100%. Well, Griffo, as always, thank you for being a part of it. Thank you to our listeners.
For getting it up and running, as you do each and every week.
Thank you for the listeners. Another cracking round of football. I really, I just look at it and just think, it's, if the Dogs tonight can do something, well, then all of a sudden it's turned on its head. So,
there'll be at least one upset, Shano.
100%. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Griffo. Yet again, beautiful to hear your voice. Thank you, listeners, and have a brilliant weekend to all the mothers out there, aunties, sisters,
grandmothers,
women, significant women in people's lives. Happy Mother's Day.
Have a great week, all our listeners. Thank you, and we'll be back on next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.